Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are here with my 15-year-old daughter. If you don't know who she is, you've never met her, her name is Natalia. She has had her own weight loss journey. So I have promised you a little sit down with her, and she has finally made the time to sit here and chat with us. So the reason why I feel like her insight is super not only valuable, but just really important for adults and teens to hear is because she did it all through natural foods, all through whole foods. A lot of times people think, nowadays they're doing peptides, they're doing fad diets, crash diets, a bunch of things. They're starving themselves. There's just so many things going on out there. And I feel like especially for teens, because she tells me these stories where people she knows are just trying to find their way or, doing extreme things because they're teenagers. And, we live in a world where whether we want to admit it or not, image matters, right? And so I'm so proud of her because at her young age, she realized the importance of whole foods. I don't know if you want to just chat with them a little bit about maybe your foods, maybe some of the changes that you made, even just like the simple, very basic things. Remember, you were eating out a lot. She was going to a school. It was a private school that was about 40 minutes from here. So it was difficult to do the whole lunch. It was summer. So anyway, I just kind of want her to go through maybe just like little or bigger things that made a big difference, especially when she was starting her journey. She lost, just to like recap and so at 14 years old, she lost almost 50 pounds in about 5.5, almost 6 months, which obviously at her age, you're a young kid. People are like, oh, she's just growing. And it's like, no, there's a lot that goes into it. Like, food is definitely a huge part of, really, in my personal opinion, for those of you that don't know, I've lost over 100 pounds. I've been maintaining my weight for over 15 years. And I can tell you that food is the most important part of a weight loss journey. Now, of course, we have a teenager here that is very active now. At that point, I don't think you were in water polo, right?
When I started, I wasn't in any sports at all. I was just going to school and then coming home. I started water polo at the end of 8th grade.
Okay.
Going into summer.
Yeah, so at that point you weren't, and you still lost that weight.
Yeah.
So that's my point here, is that a lot of times people think like, oh, you have to be, at the gym and there for hours and doing this and that. And now, of course, everybody's story is different. Everybody's journey is different. But at 14 years old, she was not in a sport. She was not working out. And what she did was changed her diet. I feel like we've always been pretty good about not keeping sugars in the house, not keeping crazy sweets in the house and junk food. Like, I've been really good about that pretty much her entire life. And so I really think it was more of the eating out and going to get an ice cream and, having those snacks when we were out of the house, because I know that we didn't have them here in the house. You know what I mean? So those changes, what would you say were the first things that you remember kind of like, okay, I'm going to lock in, like we're not going to eat out, or what were the things that you remember still? Because, she's a teen. So
my biggest change was not going out after school with my friends, because once I came back from the other school, I was with my friends again, obviously. And so we'd walk downtown after school and we'd always go get like food or something. And even though I was still getting my, lettuce wraps from Jack in the Box and stuff like that, or Jersey Mike's, I was getting the gluten-free bread. Or, if we'd go somewhere, Chick-fil-A, like I'd get grilled nuggets and stuff, but
still processed.
It's still, their food is obviously like injected with a bunch of stuff. Their meats might not be the best quality in the sandwiches. Obviously, Jack in the Box is just not great in general. So
the oils.
Yeah, everything. So when I stopped eating out and I stopped going out with my friends as much, that was the first thing I did was I would just come home after school instead of going out with them. I'd come home and eat, and then I'd go out, because I knew that if I went out hungry, I was going to end up eating something I didn't want to eat. instead of coming home and just eating my steak and avocado, whatever, and then I could leave.
That was probably the biggest thing that you
Yeah.
did at that time, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I did was I made sure that she always had her food. So I wanted to be her biggest support system. Like, I wanted to make sure that when she came home hungry, if I didn't already have something made for her, that she had her steak, because Nati is very, very independent and she loves making her own food. She would literally make her own, she would cook everything on the
my cutting board.
on a cutting board. I made sure I had her steaks. I made sure I had ground beef. I made sure I had avocado. Another thing that I did for her that was also really important is I made sure that we always had bone broth. If you've been following me for a while, you know that Kettle and Fire is my favorite brand. They actually have, each little carton has 19 grams of protein, which is amazing for your gut. It has collagen. This is natural collagen that's amazing for your hair, skin, and nails. And I just love adding it to whether it's a soup. She also loves lentejas, lentils. So anything that had water, I would try to incorporate the bone broth as well, just because it adds more protein. I think that's like our biggest thing with the switch, is we made sure she was always eating a lot of protein. Now, I obviously buy the bone broth because I'm not gonna sit there and make it, but you can definitely make it. It takes like 24 to 36 hours. I actually just stock up on Kettle and Fire. I even have a discount code. You can use it yourself. I'll leave it linked in the description below, but you can incorporate that into your kiddos' food, into your food. It's great to break your fast with. Literally just drink it in the morning, and it's great for your gut. It's like a great thing to add first thing in the morning. So that's one thing. The ground beef, I tried to make sure that it was organic and grass-fed. It doesn't have to be. I just, at our local store, they always had a deal where it's the 3 packs of ground beef and the little steaks. You always like the...
Yeah, they have these little like thin steaks. It's like a pack of 4. So I'd always make myself like 2 of those, and then I'd have this really good, it's my favorite. It's like a spicy sausage kind of. So I'd always make that with my steak, and then I'd have like my avocado, my mushrooms, my onions, and that would be my meal. At night, if I got hungry again, if I wanted like a dessert, I'd always make myself like a yogurt parfait. I would put inside of it, my favorite thing is like frozen blueberries. So any type of frozen fruit that I could find, because it kind of freezes the yogurt. And so it was almost like a frozen yogurt to me. And then I'd put like almonds on it, or any type of like almond type of like granola, nut granola, and then I'd put some honey on top. And that'd be like my last thing I'd eat before bed.
And so those are all really important things to know, especially for kiddos, because you're able to have something that's nutrient dense. The Greek yogurt has about 18 grams of protein per 3/4 of a cup. And so she would have that with her berries, and then she'd add a little bit of honey. But the important part there is that every ingredient is a single sourced food. So the closer and the more that you eat single foods like ground beef, steak, chicken, salmon, shrimp, all of that, those are all single foods, right? There's no added, it's nothing processed. It's nothing that has a bunch of, like a whole list of ingredients. Then you have your veggies. She loves onions. She loves mushrooms. What else?
The mixed veggie bags with like the peas, the carrots, and the corn. I went through like 3 bags a week with those. Because I mean, I like, sometimes like my friends will come over and like I'll just eat like a big bowl of vegetables with them, and I just put like salt and pepper on it, and that's it. And I'm not saying that's the greatest thing ever, but I mean, they taste really good. And so I like eating a lot of them.
Yeah, so basically what we try to do, because at the end of the day, eating ground beef every single day, eating it all the time, like, of course it can get repetitive. But so then she would do different things. Like sometimes she'd make a scramble, like we call it like a power bowl. Then she'd do like steak and eggs, or a ground beef bowl, add avocado or queso fresco or honey. Like you would even do.
Yeah, for a while I would do ground beef, cottage cheese, and then I'd put honey on my ground beef with pepper, and then I'd put tapatio on my cottage cheese. And I'd mix it and like eat it together.
Yeah, so those are just like different. Yeah. I mean, you can get like a variation of things going. I do have an ultra low carb meal plan if you are struggling or you're trying to think of ideas. The lower carbs you go, the less hunger and the less cravings for sugar and carbs you're gonna have. So my ultra low carb meal plan literally walks you through breakfast, lunch, dinner, desserts, snacks, swaps, what's better, this or that, or like, you know, instead of this bread, you can eat this bread. I have a full step-by-step put together for you. So I'll leave that linked in the description below. But those are more ideas if you're trying to get, you know, just kind of wrap your head around like, oh my God, how am I gonna eat ground beef like every single day? She did that. Like her results came from being super, super consistent.
If I didn't bring lunch to school, which is not the best, but you know, I'd have like my school, cause this was middle school, so we have like yogurt parfaits in the morning. I'd eat that, and then I sometimes wouldn't be hungry for lunch, so I'd just go home after school and I'd eat ground beef. But when I did bring lunch, my friends would be like, oh, let me guess, what would you bring today? It's like ground beef. And so it was like every day I just had ground beef, right? And they're like, how do you not get tired of it? But my ground beef, I season it different ways. I put different toppings on it, whether it's honey or, you know, I mixed it with vegetables. Peppers. I did, you know, like fajitas almost with it. So it was just like a new thing every day. I was always trying to make my ground beef different. And I think that was another thing that kept me really consistent with it. And I mean, obviously I was eating different meats as well. I was eating steak, I was eating chicken, I was eating ground turkey, salmon, shrimp. But since it's like an easy thing, it was ground beef always.
One thing that Nati always mentioned to me is how when she was like locked in, meaning there's no, you know what I mean? You're like really focused and consistent. Her energy level was always up. She didn't feel tired. She didn't feel hungry or craving.
I mean, it got to a point where I'd like go out with my friends. I didn't, you know, I wasn't eating chips anymore when I go to their house. I wasn't eating ice cream. I didn't want ice cream. I didn't want, you know, to go out and get a sandwich. I didn't want stuff like that. Because after a while, my body just got so happy and used to eating the foods that I was eating. I felt like there was no need to go out and eat junk food, processed food that I knew was gonna mess my stomach up.
That's another thing. Certain foods would mess her stomach up. Another thing I wanna say, yes, she lost the weight, and of course we have a gorgeous girl, but with her switching her diet and really just focusing on healthier foods, her asthma went away, and her allergies. So that's something that was like a very unexpected positive plus. So sometimes
and getting sick so
oh
often.
My gosh.
My friends, like, I mean, and it still happens sometimes because my immune system is not the strongest. Like I'll be outside and I can get sick from the cold, right? But my friends have had the flu, they've had like COVID, you know, just different things. And I've never gotten sick once. And like last week, all my friends are like, at this point, I think you're immune to all of us. Because I'll drink their water while they're sick, sometimes. And like, I don't get sick anymore. Like it's just not.
When I see her drinking other people's water, I want to like literally bang her on the head.
But I mean, that's just something I realized. Like my asthma went away in the first like 3 months, I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I will definitely say that her immune system has gotten so much stronger. Yeah. This girl used to get sick at least, I can't even say.
It was like 3 times a month sometimes.
I mean, it was really bad. It's so much so that my mom was like, Mayra, like, la niña siempre se está enfermando. Like, she's always getting sick. And I'm like, I know, Mom. Like, I started even looking for vitamins and minerals online. But anyway, I don't have to worry about that now. I wanted to make this video because Nati is going to start just really, really focusing. She's about to start water polo season again. And I'm like, girl, you are going to need that energy because obviously she looks gorgeous and, you know, it's not like she needs to lose any weight, but I know that she wants to be super fit. She wants to go to the gym. She wants to just work on like her core and like just building more muscle on her legs and stuff like that, which is amazing. I'm all here for it. I'm like, girl, I am here for it. You're going to help me along the way. Let's do this together.
Yeah, because with water polo, it's not only a physical like strain on your body, but it's mental, it's everything, you know, 5 a.m. practices, and there's 2 to 3 practices a week, and then there's practices in the morning and practices after school. There's weekends. 6 practices a week, every week for 6 months straight. It's a lot, you know, and so I've realized that eating better has helped me so much with it. I would realize, I almost like tested it out for a little, right? I would eat how I would normally eat for a week straight, and then I would eat how I'd eat good one day, right? But then I'd go out with my friends and I'd eat something, right? Or I'd have something maybe a little heavier for lunch, and I would realize when I would get in the water and I would swim, I would feel tired. I felt like I couldn't swim as much. But
you would come home and tell me.
Yeah, and then there'd be days where I would be I'm like, Mom, I don't like the food that I ate today, right? I'd take steak to school, I'd take ground beef to school, chicken, whatever I took, and there was no processed foods in there, right? And I wouldn't even eat, like for a while I was like, maybe I need carbs, right? Because I'm burning so many calories swimming. My practices were 3 hours every day, right? But I realized like I would just take my ground beef, avocado, and vegetables. I would be fine. I would come home, I'd eat the same meal again, and I wouldn't feel tired at practice almost, you know? Like I could swim more. And so I realized like eating cleaner was it was the way that I had to go, you know?
No, for sure. And I mean, it's so interesting to hear that from a teenager that's out there like exerting so much energy. But if you think about that from an adult standpoint, right, that is changing your diet and eating cleaner and just sticking to the lower carbs. And I'm not someone who's going to say don't eat carbs. We eat carbs. We like rice. She loves pasta. But it's more about when you're eating it, and it's also about the quality, and it's also about not having all this processed junk. And so it also helps you maintain your energy throughout the day, even at work or as a busy mom or dad or whatever the case is. So, I wanted her to come on here and really just chat with you for a little bit, because since water polo season is starting, she's gonna be meal prepping. She's gonna be really, really locking in. And so I want her to share her meals, and I want you guys to see how, even coming from a teenager that's already super active, that's already eating clean, how her body's also gonna change, because she's gonna start water polo. She's gonna be eating clean. She's also gonna be going to the gym. It's, crazy, but I want you to see how just changing her diet is going to help her in not only school, but also in her sport and just everyday life. So, it's just, for me, it's inspirational. I am so proud of her. I feel like it is something amazing for a teen to just be so well aware of how powerful food is, because I didn't know this. At her age, I weighed over 300 pounds. I was trying to figure it out. I was out there really trying to starve myself, go to the gym for 3 hours a day. I was looking for answers. Thank God I figured it out. And over the years, I've learned so much, and now I get to share it with you and help you on your journey. But, at her young age, I feel like it is so inspirational, and just, again, it's just such a benefit, because she can now teach not only adults, not only teens her age, but also adults that might have never figured it out throughout their lifetime. Because, hey, I know the struggle, and I know the journey and how hard it is. So to see someone at her age kind of be like a blank slate and not really know, not have so much influence yet at her young age, and be able to do it just by switching over to whole foods and non-processed foods and drop 50 pounds like that, is amazing. And she doesn't have loose skin. She doesn't have, a lot of times people worry about having loose skin, but when you do it this way, where you're having whole foods and you're eating a lot of protein, this is, again, personal experience, but she did not have the loose skin, which is amazing for her at her young age. So anyway, if you have questions, I tried going back into some of the old posts where I saw some questions. I couldn't find it, but on this video here, if you have questions specifically for Nati, then drop them in the comments below. We'll do another sit down so she can do kind of like we might do, I don't know, maybe like a what I eat in a day, so you can show them what your lunches look like, you can show them what your snacks look like. Yeah. Because she very much is like her mama. We love to snack. We love desserts. We love delicious foods. And I would love for her to be able to kind of walk you through what her days look like, and again, just help. She is going to be sharing a lot of her foods on Instagram. So if you don't follow her already, I will leave her handle here and in the description below. It's I Love Nati with a double I at the end. And she's going to be sharing her, whether it's breakfast, her lunches, dinners, snacks, desserts, because all of that matters. That's what makes this lifestyle sustainable for her. And it doesn't mean that she doesn't go out. She definitely does. She's a teenager. Yeah. She goes out with her girlfriends and has, you know, she goes and gets an ice cream at the...
And I feel like that's something important that people don't realize is it's quality over quantity. Because for so long, I remember that I'd eat such tiny portions. And I'd think like, oh, this is great. You know, this is fine. Like, I'm not eating a lot, but I'd eat whatever I want. And then it caught up very quickly. And now I feel like even my friends, like, you know, they'll ask me questions about it just because summer's around the corner. They're like, oh, I want to get more in shape, this and that, right? And I tell them, prioritize your protein. Cut out more carbs if, you know, you eat a lot of them. You know, sugar comes with that as well. And I feel like a lot of them were almost scared about it because they're like, they see the calories in meat. They see the calories in avocado and all that stuff. And I tell them, if you're not mixing it with the carbs, it's not going to affect you. Because I feel like nowadays, the food pyramid, especially, like where meat's at the bottom and they're like, don't eat meat, don't, you know, they think that meat is something that's just going to like ruin your body. I don't know why.
Which is because the media.
And they're like, maybe eat more bread, more rice, less meat, more vegetables and all that. And, you know, I'm like, it's completely just the opposite way. You need your protein, you need your vegetables, you don't need the carbs. You know, your body, eating avocado and stuff like that is so much more sustainable. And I mean, it keeps me full for a long time also. And that's how I was eating one big meal a day and then just my yogurt, you know, at night.
And just to clarify with the carbs, we still do eat the carbs, and she definitely still did, but they were complex carbs. They're healthier carbs. They're non-processed carbs. So she'd have the fruit, she'd have the sweet potato, the baked potato or sweet potato or rice or pasta, whatever the case is, but it's all clean sources. They are also like vegetables, fruits. So those are all carbs, but they are not like the chips and
the bread and
like processed carbs. So that's really, really important because it's not about not eating the carbs, it's what type of carbs you're having. But I also, just before we wrap up, I do remember that your meals used to be so tiny versus when you started switching over to whole foods.
Ginormous. I'd have like an entire steak. I remember this one, it was like the greatest board I ever, I think, put together. I had a steak, I had like chicken wings, I had like sausage, and then I had like celery, and I had vegetables, I had, you know, and it was so good. I had my cottage cheese.
Yeah, and it was a huge board, but that was like your main meal for the day.
And I mean, I realized, like, I almost felt it, how fast my metabolism sped up. And I mean, it got to a point. I know, it got to a point where I was like eating every 2 hours, and I was like, something's not right. But I realized, I was like, when that's all I was eating and I felt so good, my body was working through it. Like, it was honestly such a great like time. My skin was amazing. Like, my hair was amazing, everything. And I realized, like, your gut is truly it plays just such a big role throughout you, like, just everywhere, you know? And I realized, like, once I healed my gut, everything started to just heal. My skin, my hair, you know, just everything. Because I started breaking out for a while, and I'm not acne prone, like, at all. You know, none of my family is. So I realized, like,
it's what you're eating.
It was what I was eating, you know, and it made a big change once I started eating good. And I just felt healthier, happier, like, it was just so much better for me.
No, I agree. And now I feel like, you know, moving back into water polo, because I think for what has it been, a few months?
It's been about a month.
Yeah, she has been kind of off of it. She's been enjoying life. I mean, it's just
going back to club though, but yeah.
Yeah. But now going back into water polo, it's like game time. So this is where she's really, really, really going to have to lock in. And so it's just a perfect time. It's a perfect time for you guys to kind of see. And if you are wanting to get started, then you'll be able to kind of follow along with her food as well. I definitely cook with a lot more, you know, I make full-blown recipes. She's more of like single source foods, whole foods, you know, just stick to it. This is what, you know, she's more like, strict with her stuff. And don't get me wrong, that is the way. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you are really trying to see results, that's gonna be the way for you to go. I basically, my recipes are more like, this is the way to live. Like, this is how you, this is just like a lifestyle, and you can incorporate these foods into your, you know, like, into your life, basically. So, all right, guys, well, I hope that you enjoyed this video with my baby girl and I. I'll leave my meal plan linked in the description below. If you are struggling with weight loss, make sure you grab that. It's gonna be very, very helpful. If you have friends and family that are also maybe struggling or just getting started, then please share this video and share my meal plan with them as well. But thank you so much for being here. We love you, and we'll see you on the next video. Mwah.